This is an episode of my podcast, Self-Love and Spiritual Growth. You can find links to my podcast in the description below. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Self-Love and Spiritual Growth with Natasha Hynes, where I remind you that you came here to be the light in a dark world. So yeah, sometimes it's gonna hurt. Sometimes it might even feel like you're not gonna make it through, but you can. And you will. You're doing better than you even know. Welcome to Self-Love and Spiritual Growth with me, Natasha Hynes. Today I want to talk to you about how I stopped attracting narcissists. Anyone who's dated a narcissist or been raised by a narcissist has probably noticed a theme in their life where they consistently attract other narcissists. Maybe you've dated a narcissist and the next guy you meet is a narcissist. The guy before that was a narcissist and you're wondering, what's going on? Is it me? What am I doing? What is this? Do I have a sign on my forehead that says, please come abuse me? Well, kinda. That's what I want to talk about today because I had that problem throughout my entire life and I managed to somehow stop the cycle. And I'm going to explain to you how I did that today. Everyone's going to have their own journey, their own experiences. So what I am going to tell you about today is my personal experiences, which may not apply to you, at least not in every aspect. But the thing that's universal about it is that it all comes down to how you see yourself, what you believe that you are worthy of. Because when you don't believe that you are worthy of more than you're getting, you won't get more than you're getting. Most of us who tend to date narcissists, it usually started because we had a narcissistic parent or a drug-addicted alcoholic or otherwise abusive or neglectful parent. When you're raised in that environment, what happens is that's what you learn is normal behavior. That's how you start to believe that relationships are supposed to be. The way your parents express their quote unquote love to each other and to you is how you believe that love is supposed to be expressed, and what you expect from others and what you give to others. And often when the good majority of people who end up in this cycle of dating narcissists and are also listening to this right now, who actually care about stopping it and are working on themselves and trying to heal themselves, are generally codependent or empathic or ultra-sensitive people. The other option would be that you would also be a narcissist. But if you're listening to this right now, it's pretty clear that you're not a narcissist. Narcissists believe they're perfect and they don't have anything to fix about themselves, so they wouldn't bother wasting their time listening to me talk. If you were raised with a narcissistic parent, for example, you were probably expected to be a giver, a fixer, and the one who was at fault or responsible for basically everything. And so you've internalized that. And you feel like it's your job to fix, to overgive, and to take the blame for all the problems. We do it to different extents. You know, some of us understand or realize or see some of the things that we're doing that aren't necessarily healthy, but it's internalized, it's subconscious. So even though you know, you can't help yourself. So the first problem is that you learn from your abusive, chaotic, toxic home what love is supposed to be and how relationships are supposed to be. And then you go out into the world, and that is how you express your love and what you expect from others. It's the role that you play. And the people that respond to that are other toxic people. And if you are expressing yourself as someone who was abused, you're playing that role that you've been taught to play, you're going to attract the abuser role. So someone who is an abuser is going to come play that role in your little play of life. So that's the first problem. The other problem is that when you grow up in toxic environments, that's all you know, and you don't see anything wrong with it necessarily because that's normal to you. So when other people have big bright red flags like, hello, I am Crazy Town and I'm going to treat you like crap, you don't see them because whatever signs they're exhibiting to you are just normal everyday behavior. So you ignore the red flags and continue to engage with this person. The other problem with growing up in a toxic environment is that because that's all you know, and because that's how you're used to acting and relating to people and expecting that from other people, when you encounter emotionally healthy people, they make you uncomfortable and you make them uncomfortable because you're operating on different systems. So you tend to run from the good guys and then run towards the jerks. And that is why you end up dating one after the other, or good girls, sorry. It applies to literally any gender. It is genderless. It is just whichever person is a predator that you're drawn to. So basically what it comes down to is that's all you know. There's also the side of it that has to do with being an empath or being highly sensitive or empathic. People who are empathic or highly sensitive tend to attract narcissists for multiple reasons, including all that stuff about childhood abuse and whatnot, because abusive households tend to breed empaths due to the fact that when you're a kid in an abusive home, abusers, alcoholics, drug addicts, whatever, they're usually kind of unpredictable. They can fly off the handle at any given moment. So the child tends to become hyper aware and hypersensitive to the abuser's mood, to the environment, anything that could potentially set them off, which means also reading other people around them. And that's a survival mechanism that they practice on. They work on, they practice, they hone their skills at reading people. There's that aspect where the kid might develop into an empath, and then there's also the opposite where empaths and highly sensitive people are usually highly spiritual souls or highly spiritually developed souls that choose to incarnate in toxic environments so that they can learn lessons or go through experiences that are meant to assist them on their mission on Earth. So what happens with empaths, besides the normal stuff where you grow up in an abusive situation and then you have your guard down basically because you don't know any better, that's all you know and that's what you're used to. Then there's also the fact that you can feel, as an empath, you can feel other people's pain, which means that when you do anything that hurts their feelings, then you feel that pain and you feel guilty because to you, you inflicted pain on that person. The problem with that is that people will feel bad for all kinds of reasons, and it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. They might have misinterpreted something or they might take something personally, but a lot of people have a hard time hearing the word no. When you stand up for yourself, when you enforce boundaries, when you don't give in to their requests at any given time, when you have standards or limitations, people will get upset because they're not getting what they want. So you didn't do anything wrong, and they're still feeling the hurt because they didn't get what they want. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. But the problem is, as an empath, you feel their pain and you think that it's you. And the worst situation is when you're in saying no to a narcissist, because narcissists feel pain and anger and sadness. They react badly when they can't hurt you. So when they can't screw with you, they will be upset about it. And when you are not aware of this dynamic, you can easily be manipulated into thinking it's really your fault. So then what do you do? What do you do? How do you stop walking around with a big sign on your head that says, please come abuse me? Unfortunately, on one hand, you kind of don't. People won't actually stop trying to abuse you, but you can stop taking it from them. You can stop being hurt by their actions and their words. You can't control the world and how they treat you. You can only really control how you react to it and how it affects you. The question is, how do you stop getting into relationships with abusive people, with narcissists? I still to this day get inboxed by people who want what they want, and that's it. And if I'm not interested, they flip out on me and I'm the one with the problem and so on. So they're still coming. The difference is that I'm not falling for it. The difference is that when they inbox me, I see them a mile away and I shut it down immediately. But then, like I said, when you stand up for yourself, when you have boundaries, people, they react badly to it, especially people with an agenda. Not all these people are necessarily narcissists in the sense that they have narcissistic personality disorder, but they have narcissistic traits, as many or most of us do. The thing is, the way that they approach you is not necessarily that much different from a narcissist. It's really very simple. When you start to love yourself and become independent of needing validation from the outside world or from other people, then when people inbox you, giving you compliments and telling you how hot you are and that they like you and whatever, that doesn't affect you the same way anymore. You don't fall for that anymore because it's not what you want. Self-love, practicing self-love, really starting to love yourself means going within and going through the pain. It hurts, okay? It is not easy. This is not an easy journey. That's the whole point, and that's why most people struggle with it. But self-love is about looking at the ugly parts of yourself that you've been avoiding and reprocessing it, finding a different way to look at it so that the shame around it evaporates, so that the pain dissipates, and so that you can learn that the perspective you had where you were hating yourself was an illusion, and that you change your perspective about yourself so that you truly believe at your core that you are worthy of real love, of respect. And when you do that, all these people that ask you out or inbox you or whatever because they are giving you compliments and whatever, you can see in an instant that they are not worthy of your time. And that's what a lot of these people who inbox me don't understand. They don't understand how in a split second I can determine that I don't want them in my life. They see that they are approaching me politely and nicely. They inbox me saying something like, hi, right? Or I like you, which to the unsuspecting person seems really nice. To me, it is instant BS star going off, because when someone really likes me, they actually know something about me. When all they have to say is hi, I like you, or the worst is, oh my God, this is so bad. Like this must be bots doing this. I don't know. But on Instagram, when you get, I'm sure lots of people get this, but you get an inbox of someone saying hi, and then you say hi, and then the next thing that they say is, what's your name? Where are you from? And I'm like, what? It's literally right there. It's right there on my profile. Like, how are you asking me that? So I'm assuming it must be bots or something. I don't know, because that's just like really, really like low effort. You know what I mean? But it's an example I'm giving because you start to see how much effort people are really putting in. When someone actually likes me, they'll ask me a question about something that's relevant because they know something about me. And you might think that, oh, well, how could they know something? We're strangers and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it's 2019. Your life is online. Like if you have so much as a Facebook profile, and I have lots of stuff on social, like on my Instagram, I put up YouTube videos, whatever. Like I am all over the place, and I am very open about who I am and what I believe. If you're not willing to put in the least amount of effort to approach me with saying something relevant to something that is a part of who I am, then I know that you don't actually like me because you don't even know me. You didn't even make the slightest bit of effort to get to know me. So when someone comes at you, unless you're like bumping into them at a bar and they literally don't know anything about you, that's something else. But the majority of the time, we got social media, even on a dating app, which by the way, you know what? I'm going to make another episode about that too. But on dating apps, which I do not use, you have a profile where you can fill out stuff about you. And if they can't engage in an interesting conversation with you based on that, then you probably don't have anything in common. So that's the other thing. If you don't have anything in common, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to work out. Like you might be attracted to each other and become infatuated with each other. You might sleep together and all that stuff. And that is not what a relationship is. That does not make a relationship. What that makes is an inevitable breakup. Either that or somebody gets pregnant and then you get married and you have a very long and miserable marriage, probably of both of you cheating on each other or whatever. But that is not what a happy relationship is. One of the most powerful things that you can do to avoid getting into relationships with narcissists is to transition from toxicity, toxic behavior and beliefs, and accepting toxic behavior from other people to someone who is emotionally healthy. Like I said earlier when I said that when you grew up in a toxic home and that's all you know, and then emotionally healthy people scare you and you scare them because you're toxic. I don't mean that as an insult because I was that too for the good majority of my life. And doesn't make you a bad person. It's just a state of being, a state of thinking. It's kind of like having a cold, except it lasts a very long time. This is a bad analogy, but the point is that it's something that can be healed. It is an illness and it can be healed. And then once you heal, then you are no longer a mismatch for emotionally healthy people, and instead you are mismatched with toxic people. So once you shift from a toxic mentality to an emotionally healthy mentality, you phase out all the narcissists. So let's take a look at the love bombing phase, because that is how we fall for this stuff. It is the love bombing phase. The love bombing phase is how they get their foot in the door. So what is the love bombing phase? The love bombing phase is when they shower you with compliments and attention and gifts and favors, and they're super nice, and they trick you into believing that they are a nice person, a good person. And then you think about how, well, the last person you were dating was a complete jerk, and finally you met a nice person, a good person, finally. And somehow you forgot that the last guy you dated did the exact same thing at the beginning of the relationship. But just because they are doing nice things for you doesn't make them a nice person. And that's what we forget. We are so tired of being treated like crap, and in this desperate need of being treated well, of being loved by anyone, that we cling to this illusion that they create. Because even though they're acting nice and treating you nice and all this stuff, there's still all kinds of red flags seeping out here and there that we're ignoring, that we're rationalizing, partly because we don't see them, because we don't know any better, and partly because we don't want to see them. We want to believe that we finally found someone who's going to treat us well, that we're finally going to be happy, that we're finally going to be in love. It's the easy way out, and it's temporary. And that's the problem, because when you take that easy way out, you end up hurting again. Very badly, because, this isn't just a regular breakup with a narcissist. This is, you are broken. They break you. The harder way is to face your pain and stop depending on love from an outside source. It's to give yourself the love that you're seeking from other people and becoming independent. Real independent, not I pay my bills BS, okay? Like, forget Destiny's Child version of being an independent woman or man or whatever. Being independent is more than just how much money you make. It's about your ability to self-sustain, your ability to work out your own problems, your ability to deal with your own feelings. Once you are truly independent and able to give that love that you're craving to yourself and not need it from other people, and yes, we need connection. And that's a whole other topic. I am not telling you that the solution is to isolate yourself from the world permanently, but I'm telling you that the solution is your ability to self-sustain when needed and to love yourself unconditionally. And when you are able to love yourself unconditionally is not only when you will stop attracting predators and narcissists and people who want to bait you with love and then take everything from you, but once you are able to love yourself, you are filling yourself with love, and then you truly have love to give to others. Because we believe that we have so much love to give to others. All my life, and this is maybe going to be triggering for some people, but all my life since I was a kid, I felt like I had so much love to give to someone. And I've said this before, but I was raised in a toxic home. So as a child, I was not only abused, but I was neglected a lot. Like, people didn't really talk to me much. I was alone a lot of the time. And I fantasized about, my knight in shining armor or whatever. And it wasn't that I wanted someone to save me. I wanted that one true love. And the thing is, you think you want one true love, but you want it so bad, or I wanted, let's say for myself, okay? I wanted it so bad that I was willing to rationalize everything so that any sign that the next person that I crushed on was gonna be the one, I would believe it. And it's all a bunch of garbage. So you find someone who you become infatuated with and start fantasizing about the possibility of being in love and what that would be like. It's being in love with love. And I used to believe that I had all this love in me to give and no one to give it to. And I felt that way for a very large part of my life. I have not been in relationships the majority of my life. I've been single the majority of my life. Anytime I dated someone, it was for a short period of time. And even then, they were all toxic, so it was never a boyfriend. It was always some guy I was talking to, right? Because no one ever wanted to admit to having feelings or, have any kind of commitment. And I accepted that behavior because I didn't love myself. I didn't think that I was worthy of anything more. And more importantly, because I was so desperate to feel loved by anyone that I rationalized all the bad behavior, all the red flags, all the this person isn't actually right for me. And I would cling to the idea that it would work out with this person. Because in the moment it felt good. The infatuation felt good. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the understanding. I didn't know any better. So that's why we fall for the love bombing phase. Because we want to feel love. But the kind of love that we get in a love bombing phase is not love at all. It is infatuation. It is lust. And I've said this before, and some people might fight me on this, but most people who think that they are in love are not really in love. They are addicted. They are infatuated. They desire someone. Real love is very simple. It's, I want the best for you. And there's complicated feelings involved with it when we haven't healed ourselves fully with our own trauma being triggered and all that. But real love is very, very simple. It's, I want the best for you. What we get from a love bombing phase is not, I want the best for you. The way to stop attracting narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths and any kind of predator that you can think of, the way to finally find true love is by beginning with loving yourself truly, deeply, and unconditionally. In the last episode, I talked about how I realized that the reason I was letting that guy treat me like crap was because I didn't love myself. What happened after that, I stopped dating anyone. I was not interested in anyone, and some miraculous magic happened where for the first time in my life, I was not even crushing on anyone. I wasn't infatuated with anyone. I wasn't interested in anyone. No one. For 2.5 years. It was incredible. It was so amazing to not have pain or stress or fear, to not be manipulated, to not be constantly worried about what someone else thought of you or what they were doing and blah, blah, blah. It was so amazing. I didn't even know I was capable of it, but I'm pretty sure that the reason I was capable of getting into that space was because I finally started to understand that I was chasing my tail, and that whatever I kept running after, whatever I kept opening the door to, wasn't what I wanted. And when you ask yourself what you really want, you realize how hard it is to find, essentially. And I say the word hard, but it's not really a good word to use, because once you do the work inside, it's not hard anymore. The hard part is the work, doing the work to heal yourself. What I mean when I say it's hard to find is that you realize that the good majority of people around you treat each other like crap and treat themselves like crap because the good majority of people are toxic. So if you're in a place where you're kind of toxic, don't feel bad. You're just like everyone else. And when you realize that most people don't love themselves either, they have low standards for themselves, for how they treat themselves, for how they treat you, for how they treat other people, and you get into perspective that if you're accepting that behavior in your life, you're accepting abuse and you're accepting misery. Like that moment where I thought, if this is what a relationship is, I don't want it. I don't. That was probably the epiphany that I had that led me to be able to be completely on my own for 2.5 years, like emotionally alone, because I was so disgusted by the idea of being with someone for the rest of my life who not only made me feel like crap. Let's say that I, like, beyond the fact that this guy treated me like crap, beyond that, he wasn't, when you start to realize that, well, you're really in love with love, you're in love with the idea of being with someone, or you're in love with the validation that you get from them, or that the thing that you're getting from that other person or from that relationship is not actually love and happiness and passion, that it's just some form of a drug that's filling some kind of a need in you, but it's not fulfilling you. When you get past the need for the validation, I think that's when you see that life is really long, and it's too long to be with someone who isn't right for you. And I realized that Another thing that happens when you start healing from narcissistic abuse is that you realize that they had tricked you into believing that you're not worthy of love and respect. They tricked you in believing that you are all kinds of things: dumb, lazy, not good at the things that you're actually really talented at. All kinds of things they've tricked you into. And when you start to realize that, hey, you know what? I'm actually pretty smart. I'm actually really good at some things, especially the ones that they told me that I wasn't good at. And you start to realize who you are. You start to realize that the person you are is not who you've been told that you are. And as you discover this person, you discover what he or she wants and what would make he or she happy and what kind of a relationship he or she wants. What kind of a person would actually make you happy. And I got to a point where I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't willing to settle for anything less than my absolute ideal person. And that sounds crazy to some people because you can't order people, you know what I mean? You can't be like, well, you sure can on Tinder. Stay tuned for that episode. But you can't design the perfect person like you're choosing colors on an iPhone. You meet people and they are what they are, right? I mean, that's the theory. That's one theory. But I think that there is someone that maybe we all have someone that we're meant to be with, and the person that we deem perfect for us. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about once you dive deep within yourself and figure out who you are and what you want. I'm not talking about, I want him to have longish hair and it's gotta be blonde and he's gotta know how to surf, and I want him to be able to punch a guy at a bar if he talks to me I don't like to be talked to. No, I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about realizing who you are, what your beliefs are, your values, and where you want to go with your life, and then understanding what kind of a person complements that. And I don't mean looking at it like a functional way, logistically, I want to be with a guy who's no, I'm talking about understanding who you are, what kind of a person you are, and what kind of a person would actually truly make you happy. And that when you really get a grip on what that is, and you define that perfect person, that what you're actually doing, because you're defining that person, the more you discover yourself, the more you discover what the definition of that perfect person is. And what you're actually doing isn't creating an idea of a person who may or may not exist, but you're actually discovering the definition of the person who is meant for you, whom already exists. And I think that's what I did. And I think 2.5 years later that I might have met him. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. If you want to check out my website, I have lots of free courses, free stuff that you can get on my website, www.natashahynes.com. The link should be in the description somewhere. Please check it out, and I will be back in the next episode. I'll talk to you then. Bye.